Okay. Hey, everybody. This is Cody from IT, and welcome to our first real live stream of IT Live. And we're going to try something a little bit different in doing these live streams. We're going to try to have them at the same time every day. I'm sorry, not every day, every week. And it's always going to be on Tuesday. And we're going to be debuting an app every week that you can use with your students using a screen reader. You can use yourself using a screen reader. There's been a lot of talk since the pandemic started about inaccessibility and what is inaccessible and what is accessible. And in reality, there's a lot of apps that really are accessible to our students and to our users and to us that use a screen reader. But it just requires a little bit of instruction. And I want to kind of show that to you guys in these live streams. Hopefully some of the apps that we'll do are familiar to you all and that you've heard of. And some of them, maybe they'll be new to you. And some of them you might have heard of and you just don't know how to use. Today is going to be one of those I think that many of you will be familiar with. We're going to be going over Desmos. And if you don't know about Desmos, Desmos is a online math tool. And I'm going to show you kind of a little bit about what it does. There's tons and tons of things that Desmos can do. But we're just going to show you a little bit about that now. Again, if you are watching this on YouTube and you have a question or a comment, please throw it in the comments. I'm going to try to kind of consistently check that throughout our live stream. Yeah, let's get started. So let's talk about what Desmos really is here. I'm going to start by opening up a new tab and then I'll share my screen. Okay. So Desmos, here, let me share my screen here, make sure audio's on. Beautiful. All right. And so let's make sure that we can see our screen. So Desmos, all I did was just type in Desmos in my Google search. And here it is, Desmos, beautiful free math. You can also go to desmos.com. Okay. Let me just try it that way just to show you. Desmos.com. And this is where we are going to start. Okay. You can obviously sign in or log in, or you can just use it without an account. While I have this up, I do want to show you very quickly, and we're going to leave this tab that I'm about to open up throughout the entire live stream because this is really important. If you go to Desmos accessibility, Desmos is one of those apps that is mainstream. That means that it's not in the blindness community, but they've done such a really great job of integrating accessibility and screen reader usage into their app. And that's why we're doing a live stream about this, because there's so many different accessibility features. The beautiful thing about companies that do this is they make it really, really easy for you to find out how to use these with a screen reader. If you didn't see here, all I did was type in Desmos accessibility into my Google search, and I just clicked on the first one, accessibility, learn Desmos. You can see I've already been here. And this is just the front page of our of Desmos's accessibility initiative. All right. It shows you a little video here, which you can watch on your own time, obviously. And then we have all of this stuff here. I'm going to go to, if I scroll down here, you see getting started. I'm going to scroll down here to powerful keyboard commands. And that's where I'm going to kind of stay. I'm going to stay on this, and we're going to be coming back to it as we loop back. Okay. Let me just make sure everybody's good. I don't see any comments so far. So let me switch here back to Desmos. So I have my Desmos accessibility page open, and then I have my Desmos page open. Now, before we even start going over Desmos, I want to tell you about 4 things during this live stream. The first thing is we're going to talk about, before we even talk about all those 4 things, we're going to first talk about what Desmos is, and then we're going to show you how to get equations, math equations in UEB Math or Nemeth. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, we are going to show you how to P off graphs. All right, that's number 2. Number 3, we're going to show you the graphing calculator functions of Desmos. And number 4, we are going to talk about audio trace. And audio trace is a really, really kind of a quirky feature, but I think can work really well for our students. Okay. So before we begin, let's kind of show you in print version or in cited version what Desmos does. Today, we're going to be mainly sticking to the graphing calculator function, although many of the features that we're going over today will work in many of the different aspects of Desmos. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, without even logging in, I don't have to log in, but I'll go to Math Tools up at the top, and then I'm going to go to Graphing Calculator. And if you haven't seen this before, all this is I type in an equation. and it'll graph it for me on the graph to the right. Okay, so I'm just going to type in a simple slope, a simple linear equation, right? Getting into my algebra. Thank goodness I passed algebra in high school. Oh, barely. So I'm going to do y equals, and then I'm going to do, I don't know, 2x plus 3. Okay, and so there's my simple line. Okay, and what I can do then is I can press enter and I can write another equation. Let's say I do y equals negative minus 2, and I'm just typing this in on my keyboard just like regular, minus 2 x, and then minus 4. Okay, so we have our two lines here. And so what this allows me to do is I can first of all hover over and see where those two lines intersect. I can also hover over the dot and get each line's y-intercept and x-intercept, right? As long as I'm on the right equation. So I can jump to this equation and get the x-intercept and the y-intercept, okay? So this is a really powerful tool, as you might be able to see, for our sighted students that are in algebra or geometry classes. But then the question becomes, how do I access this with a screen reader, okay? Now this is where we're gonna jump into point number 1. How do I get these equations that I've written in UEB Math or Nemeth, right? That's like the big, huge question that we always talk about. How do I get equations in UEB Math or in Nemeth, right? Now, to do this, I'm going to turn on a screen reader. Today, I'm going to be using NVDA. The reason that I'm using NVDA is because I really, really, really like NVDA. If you're a student of our online courses, you'll know that NVDA, JAWS, and ChromeVox are pretty much the same screen reader, right? If you don't know about our online courses, you can find them at courses.itvision.com. I'll show you that in a little bit, but you know that those are the same screen reader. And why do I like NVDA? Because it's free. Okay, so we have all of these screen readers that are practically the same. There are very minute differences in them, and the really advanced screen readers will tell you, oh, they're really, really different. Honestly, when we're teaching children, when we're teaching high schoolers, they're going to be the same screen reader. Yes, there are differences, but NVDA is free. And when we talk about what do we want for our students? Well, for my students, I want them to be able to walk into a job on their first day, sit down at a computer that they've never used before, download NVDA and check their email. You can only do that with NVDA, right? You can't do that with JAWS because you're going to need a license, right? So I'm going to use NVDA on principle. Know that everything that I'm doing here is applicable with JAWS as well. And I'll show you kind of the JAWS alternatives as we go through. All right, so I'm going to turn on NVDA. If you don't know, the key command is Control plus Alt plus N for NVDA. Okay, so I'm going to do that. NVDA will come on. Let's see here.
Taskbar.
And please let me know. Let me make sure everybody's
one.
Good. Okay.
The magic of Desmos.
Let me just make sure that everybody can hear me. If you can't hear me, if you're watching this and you can't hear me, please let us know in the comments, and I'll go there quickly. So as you can see,
show Braille viewer up.
Let me turn off my speech really quick.
Speech mode off.
As you can see, I have my Braille viewer up. All right. So every time that I turn on NVDA, I have my Braille viewer pop up. This is really important for you guys to be able to see and hear kind of see in Braille what I'm doing. If you don't know about the Braille viewer, that's going to be the NVDA key plus N. Okay. So if you don't know about the NVDA key, that's caps lock or insert, depending on how you configured NVDA. Okay. So NVDA key, in my case, it's going to be caps lock plus N. And then I'm going to go to Tools. Open that up, and you see how my Braille viewer is checked. All right. For your students, especially if you're doing virtual instruction, I have my students turn on Braille viewer all the time so that I can just check to make sure that their Braille is accurate. And that's what we're going to do today, right? We want to make sure that we can do NVDA, UEB Math or Nemeth. We want to make sure our Braille viewer is on. Okay. As you can see, the Braille viewer is showing in Braille what would appear on a Braille display. Okay, so let's check this now. Why don't we? Right now, as you can see, nothing is happening on the Braille display. It's not showing anything. So how do I get my Braille viewer to show up in UEB Math or in Nemeth, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my tab key. I'm going to turn my speech on. I'm going to use my tab key to get all the way over here to my graph settings menu. All right, so I'm going to turn my speech on, tab over to that graph settings menu. Let's do it.
Speech mode beeps. Speech mode
All
talk.
right.
Hide expression. Hide graph settings. Zoom in button.
Oh, there it is.
Graph settings menu button collapse.
Shift tab to get back up there, and I'm going to press enter.
Graph settings complementary landmark.
Beautiful.
Projector mode toggle button.
Hold on.
Show Braille viewer on startup. Desmos graphing help.
Mess myself
undo
up here.
edit graph settings.
There we go. So we're in our graph settings menu. Now, all automatically, I have not signed into Desmos. It doesn't know who I am, but automatically, once you turn this on, you can see the Braille mode right here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab down, and I live in the state of Maryland. So we use Nemeth in Maryland. So I'm going to change my Braille mode to Nemeth. Okay.
Reverse contrast checkbox not checked. Braille mode grouping. Off. Nemeth toggle button not pressed.
And that's what we're going to do.
Pressed.
Okay. So now, as you can see, hold on. As you can see, my expressions over on the left side have turned into Sim Braille. All right. If you see right below Nemeth, you can do 6-key Braille input. I'm going to leave that alone for right now. But if you check that, you can actually type in 6-key input on your keyboard. So that's really cool. All right. So now let me get rid of my graph settings.
Graph settings menu.
I'm going to move over my
Show Braille viewer on start.
Braille viewer so we can see. And now I'm going to make sure that here, I'm going to switch my program focus. And now I'm going to go through to see my expressions to see what they look like.
Desmos graphing calculator. Expression list complementary landmark.
All right.
EQ2 edit y.k number 2x4.
And as you can see, it doesn't look like the right Braille at all, right? It says Y, let's edit something combo, Y, and then it just automatically turns terrible. And this is where kind of people start to say, oh, Desmos, not accessible, right? It doesn't do Braille correctly. It does, actually. What you do have to do is you have to go into the Braille settings of the screen reader. I'm going to show you that now. So right now, what the screen reader is trying to do is it's looking at that Nemeth. The Desmos has already put the expression into Nemeth for us, and it's looking at that Nemeth and it's trying to translate it into literary Braille. That's why the Braille isn't correct. Okay. What we have to do is go into our Braille settings for the screen reader and change it to computer Braille so that the screen reader does no translation whatsoever. We say, hey, just give me what it says. Okay. So what we're going to do is go into the NVDA menu. Again, that's NVDA key, caps lock or insert. For me, it's caps lock and N, right? So NVDA N.
NVDA menu.
And I'm going to go to preferences.
Preferences submenu P. Settings.
And then go to settings.
S. NVDA settings.
Now I'm in my NVDA settings dialog box. My text size is a little big, so don't worry about that. But I'm just going to use my audio anyway. I'm going to go down to Braille.
Speech 2 of 13. Braille 3 of 13.
All right. And I'm going to tab in and change my output table and my input table to be English 6-dot computer Braille. Okay. That's what you need both input and output to be. English 6-dot computer Braille. Let's do it.
Braille property page. Nope. Braille display change.
Nope.
Output table combo box English.
There we go. So I'm going to you can use first letter navigation here. If you don't know what first letter navigation is, definitely check out our website, check out our courses. We go over a whole thing on first letter navigation. But I can use first letter navigation here to get through my Englishes. So let me look through English, and I'm looking for English 6-dot computer Braille. Let's try it.
E. English U.K. E. English U.K. E. English U.S. 6-dot computer Braille.
There it is. And I'm going to go to
input table, combo box English, U.S. 8-dot computer Braille collapsed alt E. English, U.S. grade 1, E. English, U.S. grade 2, E. 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 E.
I'm going to save you the time.
English, E. English, E. English, U.S. 6-dot computer Braille.
And there we go. There's English 6-dot computer Braille. I can press enter here.
Desmos graphing calculator Google Chrome coding.
Let me go to my expression.
Desmos graphing calculator. Expression list complementary landmark. EQ2 edit y.k number 2.
And don't listen to NVDA, but look at that Braille. Y equals -2, right? 2x minus 4. Amazing. Perfect Braille. It looks the same here as it does here. All right. Amazing. So now why is this important? Why is this such a breakthrough to be able to get these expressions into Nemeth or UEB Braille? Well, because I'm going to turn off my speech here.
Speech mode off.
Because if I move my Braille viewer aside, let me just make sure there's no comments. Beautiful. Okay. Just making sure that nobody has any questions. But because what I can do now is I can share this graph, right? And I can copy this link and email it to my student. Now, my student, of course, they'll get this, right? Oops, I'm creating new expressions for no reason. They'll get this. They'll get these print expressions. But of course, if you teach them how, they can go in, change it to Nemeth, change their computer Braille settings, and then they can get full equations in Nemeth, no planning needed. The beautiful thing about this is I did no Braille translation, right? So I didn't have to be a TVI to do what I just did, right? I didn't have to translate any Braille. I didn't have to send anything out for conversion. I didn't have to be doing 6-key entry. You can teach this to a paraprofessional. You can teach this to a teacher's aide. I've taught this to my students' math teachers. So when my students' math teacher has an assignment for them, they just write out the equation in Desmos, send it off to them in a link, and the student changes it to Nemeth and reads it in Nemeth. This is a great way to get Nemeth and UEB Math under your students' fingertips with no planning, right? This can be something that you do right in the moment, all right? Now, a lot of people don't know this about Desmos. A lot of people don't think about this about Desmos, but when we're talking about getting accessible math, this is a huge, huge, huge breakthrough. So props for Desmos on that. All right, so that's point number one, how to get equations in UEB Math and Nemeth. Point number two, what was point number two? Graphing calculator. So graphing calculator, we all, I know, freaked out recently when, let me stop sharing my screen really quick so you can see me. We all recently freaked out when APH, the American Printing House for the Blind, stopped carrying the Orbit graphing calculator, right? The Orbit TI-84 Orion. Everybody's like, how do I get this calculator? Guess what? You can get it from Orbit. You can go through a purchase order process without quota funds, or you can just use this online calculator for free called Desmos, right? Anything that Desmos, anything that a graphing calculator does, Desmos does it. And it's completely accessible with a screen reader. I'm going to share my screen one more time. Hold on. I'm going to get this YouTube out of here so that you guys stop looking at me checking comments. All right, let me share my screen one more time. Whoop, whoop. There we go. All right, and so now let's talk about how to use screen sharing is paused. Let's try this one more time. Share screen. Boom. I don't think it likes the screen reader. That's okay. We can just share the entire screen. There we go. So now let's talk about how to use this as a graphing calculator. Just for the sake of argument, I'm going to change my Braille mode off. I'm going to take it off so that we can see it in print. Know that at any point through this, you can change that Braille mode back to Nemeth, back to UEB Math. You can change your Braille table back to computer Braille, and you'll be able to see everything that we're seeing in print in Braille. But I'm just going to have this off. So the beautiful thing about this is we've already seen how we can graph an equation, right? We've done an equation, we can graph it, right? But what if we just wanted to use this as a calculator? I'm going to turn my speech on.
Speech mode beeps. Speech mode talk.
All right, and I'm going to make a new expression here.
Expression 2. Edit multi-line blank.
Let's say I just wanted to do a simple equation. I just want to get a calculation. 2
plus 2. Link login or links. Expression 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Edit multi-line blank.
And it's that easy. All I'm using is arrow keys here. Okay. Can you
expression
down arrow key? Let's say I want to do a quadratic equation. Y equals
y equals x
squared.
Y equal.
Now this is where we get into our accessibility shortcuts. Squared, all we're going to do is do a little caret. Make sure I do the caret correctly.
Star.
Nope.
Time. Y equals x has caret.
There it is.
Superscript. Baseline. Y equals x sup 2.
All right.
2. Y equals x superscript 2. Baseline.
And then all I do to get out of the superscript is I just use the right arrow key.
Blank. After superscript.
And it
2.
says after super. So you can see the screen reader is reading to me everything that I need to know.
Plus 3. 3.
All right.
Y equals X superscript. 2. Baseline plus 3 has graph.
Awesome.
Blank.
Just to see, just to prove the point. Let's see what this looks like in Braille.
Zoom in, but graph, reverse, Braille, Nemeth toggle.
Let's see. So we have Y equals, I'm right here, Y equals X superscript 2, baseline indicator plus 3. Amazing. Let's see what it looks like in
Show Braille viewer on startup
viewer.
checkbox checked all. Desmos graphing calculator.
Let's see. Y equals X superscript 2, baseline indicator plus 3. Amazing. So this is anything that, take a look up here.
NVDA
I did
Braille.
my 2 plus 2 equals 4. Oh, here we go.
Desmos graphing calculator Google. Number 4 unselected. Edit read only selected. K number.
That's interesting.
Edit read K number. K 2. Edit read only. K number 4.
All right, we got 2 plus 2 equals 4. What do we got on the Braille display? Equals 4.
EQ2 edit number 2.
2 plus 2, right? Amazing. So as you can see, this graphing calculator issue where we need to find a graphing calculator right away for our students, it's kind of non-existent. Everything you can do in the graphing calculator, you can do here. Questions I get usually are, how do you do a square root? So easy.
EQ.
All right. First of all, I'm going to show you something in print that used to work. I don't know why it's not working today. I think they must have done an update and forgot to update this section. But if you do control and slash, right? Same as on Google, control and slash, you'll get all of
NVDA,
all of the keyboard shortcuts for a screen reader. So if I wanted to go to square root, look at this, SQRT is square root. So that means if
Desmos
I wanted to do Y equals the square root
equals
let
blank.
me take out of
EQ3.
This is the other thing. If you're typing in a non-6 key entry, get out of Braille mode. Okay. So if you want to type in 6 key entry, that's great. Go into graph settings, go to Nemeth, go to 6 key Braille input. That's fine. If you're trying to type with a QWERTY keyboard, turn your Braille mode off. Okay. Because it does not do it very well. So let's say I want to do Y
equals.
And then the square root of 2 plus 3. I don't even know what that's going to look like, but I can just do
SQRT. T. Y equals start root, and root radical cannot be empty.
All right. So it's saying Y equals start root, end root. Okay. I can put a 2 in there.
2. Y equals.
How do I get out of the square root? I just press the right arrow key, just like I got out of that superscript, and it's going to do a end root.
Blank. After start root.
Yep.
2.
So it says after root, and then I don't know what I said, but plus 3.
3.
All right.
3. Y space.
There we go. So now let's take a look at just to see. Let's take a look at what this looks like in Nemeth.
Graph settings controls grouping graph settings menu.
Y equals square root 2 plus 3. Square root 2, end root plus 3. Amazing. And then it gives us the Y equals underneath. Y equals 4 point blah, 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 right? It solves it for us pretty much. Okay.
Desmos
mode off. Just going to make sure that
NVDA Braille viewer row 1 column 2.
Nobody has any comments.
1. The mat.
Beautiful.
Desmos.
And
show Braille.
Yeah, so there we go. So we've done number 1. Number 1 is we have made equations in Nemeth and UEB Math. Amazing. Check that off the list. Number 2 is we have used a graphing calculator. We've showed that you can do pretty much anything that you can do on a graphing calculator on one of those Orions on Desmos. I promise you. The last thing I want to say about the graphing calculator is remember that tab we opened up, Desmos accessibility, and then we went to shortcuts. Well,
Desmos. Show Braille view.
Let me just turn off my speech.
Speech mode off.
If I scroll down, remember all those shortcuts that I got to with control slash? Well, guess what? They're all on here. All right. It also goes through all of the stuff that I talked about with NVDA and the Braille settings and everything. Okay. All right. Cool. So now number 3, right? P-offable graphs, right? We always want to make sure that we are giving our students a a really good tactile graphic if they need one, okay? Let's take this guy, for example. So I just did all of it. Let's get rid of this last expression. Let's get rid of this guy, all right? We want to make sure that we're giving our students really quality graphics, right? And the problem with this is virtually, we are sitting here with our, with our carbon markers trying to make these graphs for our students and send them off. Well, for our students, how are we going to make these equations, these complex equations, into a graph? Well, guess what? What we can do is we can actually print this graph. If I print this, all right, there's going to be two ways that you can make this into a p-off. The first way is to print it, all right? As you can see, this will p off okay. It's not going to be amazing, but it'll be okay, all right? Especially if I get off this header. If you're trying to make a graphic really quickly, and you're just kind of trying to start on something, p off, I'll print this, p off it, it's better than nothing, right? That's the quick and easy way. The other way, I'm going to use it, kind of jump to a different software here. I'm going to go to, this is my new favorite thing. It's called tactileimages.org, tactileimages.org. And this is actually a really cool piece of software that I'm going to turn NVDA off for a second because we're not going to do it. This is a really cool piece of software that if you are interested in kind of this multimedia tactile graphic, that's what these guys do. I'm not going to show you that today. That's kind of outside of the scope of Desmos. But what I am going to do is I'm going to show you their really, really cool. Oops, sorry. Sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time, unfortunately. They do have a really, really cool tactile graphics editor. All right. There we go. Just typed my password wrong the first time. So you're going to get to your login here. You can make a free login. And then what you're going to do is you're going to open this menu and go to editor. Now, the first time I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really a tactile graphics image editor. This is amazing. What you're going to do is this is an editor where you can put in Braille, you can put in shapes, you can put in graphics, you can put in images. And how do we use this with Desmos? Well, I'm going to show you. So we've made our kind of our two expressions. Let's say we want to p off this graph and we don't want to print it. What we can do instead is we're going to come up here to the share button, and then you're going to go to export image. Okay. Now this is where this gets really, really cool. You can make the line thickness. I would say make it thick. You can make the size. I would say maybe large square. You could go to small square, right? You can zoom in and out. Okay. And then usually, I don't know where it is, but usually you can take out these middle. Oh, okay. If you want to take out the middle guys, what you can do is you can take out the grid. So I'm going to graph settings, take out grid. I can make them arrows if I wanted to, like that. I don't know. And then export that image, make the line thickness thick, and then look at how beautiful of a tactile graphic this will make. We're going to make it even better. I'm going to show you in a sec. So I'm going to download this as a PNG. All right. A PNG is a type of image file. It's just like a JPEG, but with more information. Okay. So that's being downloaded as an PNG. Now let's go over to my tactileimages.org software. I'm going to do file, and then I'm going to do import image. Go to my downloads folder. Let's do Desmos graph. And then here we go. We are ready to make this a little bit bigger. The big thing about this, and I want to tell you guys about this, really, really important, is when you make this graph bigger, all right, it's really easy to get the proportions off, okay? Like you can kind of fix it, but when we're talking about numbers and graphs, I don't want to really mess with proportions. So let's try that again. The way to fix that is you want to, when you resize that graphic, you want to be holding down the shift key, okay? I don't know why that didn't work. Let's try it again. Import image. Where did it go? Let's try it again. Editor, refresh. I'm just zooming in and out right now with holding control and then using my scroll wheel, just for you guys to know. So I'm going to go to import image, Desmos graph. There it is. So now let's try this again. But instead of resizing it just with my mouse, I'm going to be using my mouse, but while holding down my shift key. okay? And that will keep the proportions the same. You see, I can't really mess it up now, right? All right, and that looks good. Let's make it a little bit smaller so I can put a title. Boom, all right. And then what I can do, let me zoom in a little bit, is I can take out these print numbers by putting a box around them. Let's put this little box here, boop, right? Yeah, make it a little bit bigger. And then, let me zoom out a little bit. Let me go to my text. Let me change this text to the Braille font that they have. And I'm going to do number sign. Number sign, by the way, using this font is Shift and 4. And I'm going to do -1, 0, -10. All right. Then what I can do is I can just make this a little bit bigger. Obviously, this tactile graphic for 0 and 10 might need to be a little adapted. But as you can see, I can put those Braille numbers in. And this is already starting to be a beautiful tactile graphic that has very, very little confusion on a P-off, okay? Of course, then I can do export as PNG again, and then open it up, and you can send it off to the P-off. The thing that I want to make sure that you guys know is the font size for Braille has to be at 24 font. That's how you make the Braille all the same size and correct Braille size. Okay, 24-point font. Okay. And so that's how we can make our P-offable graphs right from Desmos. Notice, again, I did not have to be an expert at Braille to do this. I did not have to be. When I type that Braille in here, all I'm using is the QWERTY keyboard. I'm not doing 6-key entry. And then I also don't have to be a math expert, okay? My students' math teachers will send me these equations. All I do is plop them into Desmos, do export image, and make the tactile graphic that way and do a P-off, okay? It makes really, really beautiful P-off tactile graphics, all right? That's number 3. So first, we talked about how to, I know I do this all the time. First, we talked about how to get equations in Nemeth and UEB Math. Second, of course, we talked about the graphing calculator and how to use it as a graphing calculator. You know, toss away those old Orbit Orion graphing calculators, right? The third, we talked about how to make Desmos graphs P-offable, make those really, really cool tactile graphics. And fourth, what did I tell you? Was about audio trace. Really quick, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go back to YouTube to make sure that everybody's all set. I don't see any comments coming around. All right, so I'm going to hop back, share my screen, and we're going to go over audio trace, which is the 4th thing that we were going to learn, okay? So let's try it. Let me get back to my Desmos graph. Boop, boop, boop. Awesome. All right, so I'm just going to put these grid lines back in. Actually, you know what? What I'm going to show you here is say I have these 2 expressions, and my student needs to understand where the where the intercepts are between these 2 lines. As a print user, I can see very quickly that the intercept between the parabola, the first expression, and the line is probably around the y-axis. I can see that, right? This is where these guys intersect. But it would probably be pretty hard to distinguish that 3 lines are coming together at that exact point, right? Sorry, I'm taking care of my buddy's dog. She looks like she's about to bark. So it'd be kind of hard to do that. Hi, Pumpkin, I know. She wants attention. So it'd be really, really hard to do that if you're a Braille reader, if you're reading this on a tactile graphic. So that's where audio trace comes in. Now, the first time I saw audio trace really is the feature on Desmos that will allow your student, your screen reader user, to hear where things are on the graph. The first time I saw that, I was like, that's pretty gimmicky, right? But the beautiful thing about audio trace is it allows us to solve that problem. I'm going to show you that now. Let me turn NVDA back on. There it is.
Taskbar.
Remember to turn on NVDA is Control-Alt-N. I'm going to switch my program focus. If you don't know about switching program focus, definitely check out our website.
Desmos graph.
All right, awesome. And the way that I'm going to do audio trace, it's a really simple key command. It's Alt and T. So I'm going to hold down Alt and press T. Oh, let's make sure I'm in Desmos.
2. Desmos downloads option. Desmos graphing calculator.
There we go. Let's try this. Alt-T.
Audio trace on. Use arrow.
All right. It says audio trace on. The first time I saw this, first of all, you have to know that to audio trace a line, you need to be focused on the expression that you're on. So right now I'm audio tracing my first expression, that y equals 2x plus 3. If I press the H key, hear what happens.
H. Playing graph.
All right. So as you can see, it plays auditorily the graph. Is this very useful? Not exactly. The Orions did it. You know, it's kind of useful. But what is really, really useful is if you press tab along this line, it will show you the points of interest. That means anywhere that it's intersecting an axis, anytime that it's intersecting another expression. So let me press tab here.
Intersection with expression 2 at x, 2y, 7.
And that is where it becomes really useful. Intersection with expression 2, and it gives us the coordinates. Let me do shift tab.
Intercept, intersection with expression 2 at x, 0y, 3.
It says intercept, which means it's intercepting the y-axis, and then it says intersection with expression 1 or expression 2. Awesome. All right, let me do shift tab one more time.
0 at x, minus 1.5. Y, 0.
All right, and there we go. This is where if you have Desmos up and you have the tactile graphic up, right? So imagine
speech mode off.
Imagine that your student has this link, right? They know how to use audio trace. They're reading it in Braille on their Braille display, and they have a P-off of the exact same graphic. That's like total access, okay? That means that this is one tool, Desmos has enabled us to do this, has enabled us to bring together auditory, right, with our audio trace, tactile with Braille and the P-off, okay? And we're bringing it all together in one. Now, of course, you might be looking at this and saying, my student is not there yet. Of course they're not. That's okay, all right? But this is an example of a really great mainstream tool that we can all be using to give our students better access in math, better access in Braille, and better access in technology. If this is something that you're not teaching your students this year and they're in high school math, this is something you can teach your students this year, right? This is totally within your reach. I want to show you two things before we stop our live stream today. First of all, let me first turn off NVDA. First of all, I want to stress to you this Desmos accessibility. I would not know how to do any of this stuff if they didn't do this. Look at, they have the screen reader set up here. I know I said I was going to the JAWS alternatives. We didn't really have time for that, but if you are using JAWS, read this, okay? I will put this in the description of the live stream video if it's not live. We can also, and on this, you can also have classroom activities, okay? They go through a card sort activities, and it gives you all of the different keyboard commands that you can use with Windows, with Mac, okay? That's number one. Number two is if you don't know about eye.t, what I would recommend you to do is you can go to eyetvision.com. That's EYETVISION.com, right? You're going to be brought to our website, all right? You can, if you don't know about us, we have free resources for students, for screen reader users, for professionals, and for parents, all on using a screen reader with academic tools, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you our course catalog. Right now, these are the courses that we have up. We have an open enrollment that opens up every semester. Right now, our next open enrollment is looking around end of January, early February. If you don't have an account with us and you're interested in things like this, click this sign up button. There's no commitment. It's totally free to make an account with us, but you will receive emails from us about how to sign up for those open enrollment and periods, and if we come out with any new resources. Once you get that sign up button, a link will pop up here. Let me show you the link. A link will pop up at the top that shows you, let me just do courses.eyetvision.com. That shows you for professionals, and that will be free resources. So these are online courses, one-on-one coaching. We have all of our screen reader cheat sheets. So if you don't know about our 3 methods of internet navigation, this is like the thing that that you should be doing with your students. We have a cheat sheet for JAWS, NVDA, and Chromevox, all specifically designed for those screen readers. We have an assignments request form, and we have a bunch of free videos on how to use screen readers. We also have some magnification videos for Chromebooks. If this is something you're interested, sign up on our website. That's courses. That's itvision.com. EYETVISION.com. Again, we will be doing this every Tuesday, this live stream every Tuesday. Each Tuesday, we're going to be coming up with a new app that is mainstream, that's accessible for the next couple of weeks, especially through the holidays. Next week, we're going to be doing organizing assignments with an app called Todoist. We're going to show you how to do this with a laptop, on a desktop, and on an iPhone. Okay. So definitely check us out. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday around 3 p.m. So check us out on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next